Nobody saw this coming. Inside a packed arena in Linz, Austria, with home fans waving red and white flags and chanting their local hero's name, a 20-year-old from Quezon City walked onto an indoor clay court and did something that silenced the entire building. Eala, the girl who once packed her bags at 13 to fly halfway around the world and train at the Rafael Nadal Academy, just dismantled Austria's top-ranked player Julia Grabher on her own turf, 6-4, 6-3. In 1 hour and 42 minutes of tennis that left absolutely no doubt about who controlled that match from first ball to last. Let that settle for a moment. A Filipino teenager turned young professional, carrying the weight of an entire nation's tennis hopes on her shoulders, stepped into a WTA 500 event on indoor clay, a surface this tournament had never even used before, and treated it like her personal training court. The atmosphere was supposed to be hostile. The crowd was supposed to carry Grabher through the tight moments. The occasion was supposed to overwhelm a player making her Linz debut. None of that happened. Instead, what unfolded was a clinical, composed, and quietly ruthless performance from a player whose rise over the past 12 months has been nothing short of extraordinary. To understand why this result matters, you have to rewind the clock. Not just to the match itself, but to the arc of Eala's career. A trajectory that reads like fiction, but is grounded in years of sacrifice, discipline, and an almost stubborn refusal to accept limitations. Born in Quezon City on May 23, 2005, Eala picked up a racket at 4 years old. Her family had a sporting pedigree, her mother Riza Eala being a swimmer, and there was always an understanding in the household that athletic excellence required more than weekend practice. By the time Alex was 12, she had already caught the attention of the international tennis community, winning the prestigious Les Petits tournament in France, a competition that has historically served as a proving ground for future stars. That victory earned her something remarkable, a scholarship to the Rafael Nadal Academy in Mallorca, Spain, one of the most elite tennis training facilities on the planet. Think about that decision for a second. A 13-year-old girl from the Philippines, leaving everything behind, family, friends, the comfort of home, to move to a Mediterranean island and dedicate her life to a sport that her country had virtually no history in at the highest level. The Philippines is a basketball nation, a boxing nation, a nation that worships Manny Pacquiao. Tennis barely registered. And yet here was this kid, stepping into a world completely foreign to her, surrounded by European prodigies who had been playing on clay since they could walk, and she not only survived, she thrived. The junior circuit became her proving ground. She captured the 2022 US Open girls singles title, defeating Lucy Havlikova 6-2, 6-4 in a final that she dominated from the opening game, becoming the first Filipino player, male or female, to ever win a junior Grand Slam singles title. That was the moment the wider tennis world started paying attention. Not just as a curiosity or a feel-good story, but as a genuine prospect. The transition from juniors to the professional tour is where most prodigies stumble. The speed increases. The margins shrink. Opponents stop making unforced errors. The pressure of ranking points and prize money and constant travel grinds down even the most talented young players. Eala navigated this transition with patience, working her way through ITF events, collecting titles at the lower levels, slowly building the physical and mental infrastructure needed to compete on the WTA Tour. By 2025, she was ready to announce herself on the biggest stages. And announce herself she did. The 2025 Miami Open became the tournament that changed everything. Entering as a wild card, ranked outside the top 100, Eala embarked on a run that stunned the tennis world. She defeated 20th seed Jelena Ostapenko, the 2017 French Open champion, in the second round, coming back from 4-love down in the first set to win 7-6, 7-5. That alone would have been a career highlight for most players her age. But Eala was just getting started. She continued to dismantle opponents round after round, including Madison Keys, before reaching the quarterfinals where she faced none other than Iga Swiatek, the 5-time Grand Slam champion and former world #1. Eala won in straight sets. She beat 3 major champions in a single tournament as a teenager. She became the first woman from the Philippines to defeat a top-5 player, and then she did it again within days. Her semi-final run netted roughly 390 ranking points in a single event and catapulted her into the consciousness of every serious tennis observer on the planet. That breakout in Miami was not a fluke. It was the culmination of years of meticulous preparation, and what followed through the rest of 2025 and into 2026 confirmed that Eala was building something sustainable. Her ranking climbed steadily. She hit a career high of world number 29 on March 16, 2026, making her the highest-ranked Filipino in WTA Tour history, the first from her country to crack the top 30, and one of the youngest Asian players to record multiple victories over top 10 opponents at premier events. By the time she arrived in Linz, she was ranked 46th in the world, having dipped slightly from that peak but still operating at a level that would have seemed unimaginable just 2 years earlier. Now, about this Linz Open. The tournament itself was undergoing its own transformation. Traditionally played on hard courts, 2026 marked the first year the Upper Austria ladies Linz shifted to indoor clay, making it a WTA 500 event worth over $1.2 million in total prize commitment. The switch to clay was significant. Indoor clay plays differently from outdoor clay. The ball stays low, the bounce is more predictable, but the court still demands the patience and tactical variation that clay always requires. For Eala, this was the start of her clay court swing, and the draw presented an immediate test. Julia Grabher stood on the other side of the net. The 29-year-old Austrian, ranked 87th in the world, was the hometown favorite. Coached by Gunter Bresnik, the man who famously developed Dominic Thiem into a Grand Slam champion, Grabher had the tools and the local support to make this a difficult night for any visitor. Her career-high ranking of 54 demonstrated that she was no stranger to performing at a high level, and her preferred surface was clay. This was supposed to be her moment, playing in front of her own fans, on her best surface, with all the energy of a home crowd behind her. The atmosphere inside the arena reflected that expectation. Austrian flags dotted the stands. The crowd was vocal from the warm-up. Grabher, with her powerful ground strokes and aggressive court positioning, was expected to impose herself on Eala early, test the younger players' nerves, and feed off the energy of a partisan audience. On paper, Eala was the higher-ranked player, the 7th seed in the tournament, but rankings on paper and rankings on a specific surface in a specific arena on a specific night are very different things. What happened instead was a masterclass in composure. The first set was tight, as expected. Both players held serve through the opening 9 games, neither willing to blink, neither offering the other an opening. The tension inside the arena was palpable. Every point felt consequential. Grabher was hitting with venom, her shots carrying the authority of someone who knew this surface, who knew this building, who felt the crowd willing her forward with every stroke. Eala absorbed it. She did not panic. She did not try to overhit or force the pace beyond what was necessary. She stayed within her game plan, moving Grabher laterally, varying the depth and spin of her ground strokes, refusing to be drawn into Grabher's preferred rhythm. This is where the tactical intelligence of Eala's game deserves closer examination. One of the most underappreciated aspects of her development has been her court IQ. Trained at an academy founded on the principles of Rafael Nadal, a player who built an empire on clay through relentless tactical discipline, Eala has internalized the idea that clay court tennis is as much a chess match as it is an athletic contest. You do not win on clay by simply hitting harder than your opponent. You win by constructing points, by identifying patterns, by forcing your opponent into positions where their strengths become irrelevant. In the 10th game of that first set, Eala found her opening. She broke Grabher's serve, the first break of the entire set, and took it 6-4. The timing of that break was crucial. In tight sets where both players are holding comfortably, the player who strikes first in the decisive moments almost always carries the momentum forward. Eala did not just win that game. She won the psychological battle that had been brewing for 45 minutes. Grabher, who had been matching her shot for shot, suddenly had to process the reality that she had done almost everything right and still lost the set. The second set revealed the full extent of Eala's ability to seize control of a match. She raced to a 4-1 lead, winning 3 consecutive games with a level of authority that silenced the home crowd. Her movement on the clay was exceptional, sliding into forehands with balance and precision, recovering quickly enough on defense to turn rally positions into attacking opportunities. Grabher, to her enormous credit, did not fold. She broke Eala's serve to get back to 4-3, momentarily reviving the crowd and injecting a dose of uncertainty into the match. This is where lesser players, younger players, players without the mental fortitude forged through years of high-pressure competition, might have wobbled. Eala did not wobble. She broke right back, immediately restoring her 2-game cushion at 5-3, and then served out the match with a composure that belied her 20 years. 6-4, 6-3. 1 hour and 42 minutes. No tiebreaks, no third-set drama, just a controlled, intelligent, deeply impressive victory over a dangerous opponent in hostile territory. Her post-match comments captured the mentality that has fueled this rise. "I kept the intensity well throughout the match," she said. "She's a very intense player and has really good shots, so I'm really happy with the win." There was no bravado, no excessive celebration, just a calm acknowledgement of the challenge and a quiet satisfaction in overcoming it. This is the hallmark of a player who understands that individual matches are chapters in a much longer story. And then came the moment that perhaps meant the most to her. Addressing the crowd in Filipino, Eala expressed her surprise and gratitude at the number of Filipino fans who had made the journey to Linz. "I didn't think there were so many of you here in Linz," she said, before adding, "Thank you for watching my matches, and let's see each other tomorrow." Philippine flags and homemade banners had been scattered throughout center court, a reminder that Eala's significance extends far beyond the world rankings. She is carrying a country with her every time she steps on court, a nation of over 110 million people that has never had a tennis icon, that has never had reason to care about this sport at the professional level, now suddenly invested in every forehand, every service game, every post-match interview. That cultural dimension adds a layer of pressure that most of her opponents will never experience. When Grabher lost to Eala, she lost a tennis match. When Eala wins, she vindicates every sacrifice her family made, every early morning practice in Mallorca, every moment of loneliness she endured as a teenager living far from home. She validates the dreams of young Filipino athletes who watch her and think, maybe I can do something impossible too. Looking ahead from this victory, the draw gets significantly harder. Eala's next opponent is Jelena Ostapenko, currently ranked 23rd in the world, the same former French Open champion that Eala has defeated twice before, once in that landmark Miami Open run in 2025 and again at Eastbourne later that year. There is a familiarity between these two players, and Eala's confidence in the matchup must be substantial. She knows she can beat Ostapenko. She has proven it on 2 different surfaces in 2 different pressure situations. But Ostapenko, at her best, is one of the most dangerous shot makers in the women's game, capable of hitting winners from positions that would be defensive for anyone else. The Latvian will not go quietly into this Linz evening. What makes this moment so compelling is the convergence of trajectory and opportunity. Eala is not just playing well. She is playing with the understanding that 2026 is the year to consolidate everything she built during her breakout in 2025. Her career-high ranking of 29 showed that she can hang with the best. The challenge now is sustaining that level and, more importantly, pushing beyond it. A deep run at a WTA 500 event on clay, a surface she has not historically been associated with at the tour level, would represent exactly the kind of development that separates good players from great ones. Versatility across surfaces, the ability to adapt your game to different conditions while maintaining the core principles that make you effective, is the defining characteristic of players who endure at the top of this sport. The tactical adjustments Eala made for indoor clay were subtle but visible. She shortened her backswing slightly on the backhand side, allowing herself more time to read the lower bounce. She targeted Grabher's body more frequently on serve returns, taking away the Austrian's ability to use angles from the baseline. She was more deliberate in her use of the drop shot, recognizing that the indoor conditions made it more effective than on a windy outdoor court. These are the refinements of a player who is not simply relying on talent, but actively evolving her game to meet new challenges. There is something else worth noting about how Eala managed the crowd. Playing against a home favorite in any sport is a specific psychological challenge. The noise after your opponent's winners feels louder. The silence after yours feels heavier. The energy in the building is subtly, constantly working against you. Some players react to this by trying to turn the crowd, engaging in fist pumps and celebrations designed to shift the atmosphere. Eala took a different approach. She simply played. She let her tennis speak. She did not engage in gamesmanship or theatrical displays. She acknowledged good shots from Grabher with a nod and moved on to the next point. This emotional economy is something she appears to have developed over the past year, a maturity that goes beyond her years and gives her an edge in environments that would unsettle more reactive players. The Filipino contingent in the stands provided their own counterbalance, of course. There is a unique phenomenon happening in women's tennis right now where Eala's fanbase travels with her in numbers that are disproportionate to what you would expect for a player ranked in the 40s. This is the power of being a pioneer. When you are the first from your country to reach certain heights, every member of your diaspora becomes invested in your success. Filipino communities across Europe, many of whom may never have watched a tennis match before Eala's emergence, are now buying tickets, learning the rules, and showing up with flags. It adds a warmth and an energy to her matches that is genuinely unique on the WTA Tour. But let us not romanticize this to the point where we lose sight of the tennis. Because the tennis is what matters, and the tennis is what was exceptional in Linz. Eala's first serve percentage was high enough to avoid the extended rallies that would have benefited Grabher on clay. Her return games were disciplined, patient, probing, waiting for the right ball to attack rather than lunging at opportunities that were not fully formed. She won the crucial points in both sets, which is the statistical fingerprint of a player who elevates their performance under pressure rather than retreating. This victory also carries significance for the broader narrative of Southeast Asian tennis. Historically, the region has produced few players capable of competing at the top of the WTA Tour. Eala is rewriting that narrative in real time, and her success is creating infrastructure for the sport in the Philippines. Young players are enrolling in academies. Corporate sponsors are investing. Media coverage is expanding. The ripple effects of one athlete's ascent can reshape an entire sporting landscape, and that process is already underway. As this clay court swing continues, Eala faces a schedule that will test every dimension of her game. Linz is just the beginning. The red clay of Europe awaits, with Rome and Roland Garros looming on the horizon. If she can build on this Linz performance, if she can string together results on a surface that demands patience and endurance, the ranking points will follow, and that top 30 return becomes not just possible but probable. For now, though, this moment belongs to what happened inside that arena in Austria. A young woman from a country where tennis was barely a footnote walked into a building designed to celebrate the home favorite and wrote herself into the story instead. 6-4, 6-3. No asterisks, no qualifications, no luck involved. Just pure, earned, undeniable tennis. Eala is not shocking the world anymore. She is simply confirming what the last 12 months have been whispering. She belongs here. And the best, without question, is still to come.